They talking business. They talking business. It's raw and rare. Come on and get this. Three strong black women. No, they didn't. They talking.
Welcome to the Shelly Bell Show. I'm your host, Shelly Omilade Bell, here with my co-hosts, Sherelle Duncan and Takia Ross. What's up, y'all?
Yo.
Hey. So look, last week we talked to y'all about how employees and contractors be tripping. All right, we continuing with our theme, be tripping. And so today we're talking about how credit be tripping. Y'all ready to jump into this? Because this is a huge topic. No, we're not ready.
No.
This is a huge topic.
I'm sick of the collection agencies.
Well, y'all know how I feel about patient first. Patient first. You know, we're going to get into it. Don't even worry about it. But you know what? Takia has an awesome story. And so we're going to kick it off for her story. Tell us a little bit about what you was dealing with, what you saw, what you found out.
So I moved from the inner city, I moved from a neighborhood that was considered like predominantly black, low income, all of the shits, right? Moved from there and I moved to downtown, like literally the heart of downtown Baltimore, right? So I'm like, okay, I forgot to switch my address. So I went in and switched my address. Do y'all know that my insurance went down $1,100?
What?
And this was no lie, and it's less than 3 miles away. So the place that I moved from to where I live now is less than 3 miles.
Rental insurance?
My car insurance.
Oh, car
insurance went down $1,100.
Damn.
Wait, first of all, your car insurance over $1,100? Oh, you mean like the total?
Yeah, my total.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know where my head was. I was like, wait, a month?
Yeah, no.
What?
Like it's total.
No, gotcha.
For 6 months. I have my daughter on there.
Yeah. No. Don't need to clarify.
No. I'm just saying, but and when I was reading this article, like that hit home for me in regard to credit.
Which one? This one?
The first one, credit score.
Not this one. Okay.
Put black and Hispanic people at a disadvantage.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though they say they don't look at that type of stuff, they definitely do in a way. Because they were looking at I know my insurance they pull your credit history. They do. And they look at your address.
They do.
And if you look on, even though they say they don't look at it for credit reporting purposes, when I pulled my credit report, every address that you have ever lived in
on there.
Shows up. Every phone number, everything. And so if that's not even what you're considering, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that article just kind of resonated with me, because how many people are getting solicitations for credit cards with higher interest rates based off of where they live?
Yeah. That's true.
It may not be that you are, they're using your, your socioeconomic, your race or your address. But based off your address, you can say, okay, we're going to use credit one, or, you know what I mean? And these are the interest rates that we are offering in this area. Right?
Yeah.
And then offer a lower interest rate in a different area.
That shit is true.
One of the article that Takia is referring to is an article from CNBC.com that talks about, the title is Black and Hispanic Americans often have lower credit scores. Here's why they're hit harder. And so it's detailing what happens. And really it's historic, right? Not making enough money, having more student loan debt because you can't pay for school, or having working class parents.
Yes.
So that means that you don't get as many grants for school, but you still end up having student loan debt because your parents can't pay. So your parents might be two working parents, working class, but they can't pay for school, so you don't get grants. You got to go for loans. What were you gonna say, Sherelle?
Do you know the article Grow.Acorns? This is the same one. The credit scores put Black Americans at a disadvantage. They were talking about the demographics,
right?
And so when I was living in Capitol Heights, and I went to get a car, my interest rate was 23%. And my credit score like, no, my interest rate was 23%. But then when we moved closer to La Plata, now my interest rate on my truck is 6%. But it's not 3 miles. It's not that close. Mm-hmm. However, La Plata is giving more Caucasian. Like, there's not a lot of young Black people there. I have rarely seen any Hispanics where I live. Like, I don't remember seeing one, not one.
So here's the thing about the finance world I think is unfortunate in terms of like the way we don't get the communication of what these things mean, right? So everything we do is a communication, right? Like I think I was talking to somebody about this, but everything we do is a communication. So the way that we pay is reputation management. The way that where we live is a communication. What we buy is communication. Like all these things are communication. We're not taught about finances this way. So, okay, a couple things to the things that you were saying. And I'm just saying what I learned. Like this is literally things I learned through raising money and building this way and working with corporations. When you live in a certain area, it may not even be about you. Like there's things that are bigger than about individuals for the finance industry. It is about this area has a high crime rate. Therefore, you're more likely to have your car stolen, broken into. So therefore, we're more likely to have to pay out. And if we're more likely to have to pay out, we're going to charge you. Yeah. If you live in this zip code or your habits, your credit, which is communicating your money management reputation, right? If this says this, if you're at this level, then that means instead of thinking, one of the things I realized about credit was like, they don't know how much you make and they don't know you. All they know is all the surrounding factors that they can see. And all they can see is what's coming through in this credit report, which is based off of what you've been doing or not been doing. And so all those determinations get made based off of location that you're living in. But here's the thing, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is right, but for the financial industry, your decision to live in that area means that you are choosing to adapt to whatever those surrounding environmental challenges are. Therefore, you're going to pay for that.
That's what pisses me off. That's the part that pisses me off. It pisses me off because, like, even living in Capitol Courts, that we didn't want to even move there, right? But we had to because
that's all you can afford.
That's all we could afford, and no one else didn't. Our credit score was not acceptable at all these other places. We went so many places. We came to Virginia. We went to Bethesda. We went everywhere, but no one would take us but the hood, right? And so it's like, this is my decision because this is where I can go based off of what you see on my credit score. But now it defines me as, this is my decision. I think that part pisses me off a lot. I think
too, and I know that Omi and I have had this conversation on multiple occasions, and it's, the conversations that are being had at dinner tables, right? So, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And so a lot of times, the information that was passed down from generation to generation previously is not being passed down currently, right? So, a lot of times, our Caucasian families I can say affluent family, because I'm not going to go with just Caucasian, affluent families that have amassed a level of wealth and understand wealth management, have conversations with their children, with their children's children, with anybody that's close to them to assist them in making sure that they're making good financial decisions. That isn't happening at every dinner table, especially because we're trying to survive. We're like, literally we're at, when you go down the totem pole from affluent to middle class to working class to the poor, the conversation goes from how do we amass wealth? How do we keep our wealth? How do we grow our wealth? To how do we... How do we keep these beans on the table? How do I get a job? You know what I mean? How do I keep a job? And so I think the conversations need to be had. And I challenge people who have learned, have the conversation with me that you're having at your affluent table. If you want to assist business,
Yeah.
assist me by having that conversation. A conversation that you have with your children. Have that conversation with small business owners and micro enterprises.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think everybody's ready for it. I mean, like, I do think that there's like, when I meet founders, I think there's certain founders that are ready for it, but the conversation is so different from what we're used to. And, you know, so I always say, like, people say, oh, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you need to find a new circle. But nobody teaches you how to be the dumbest person in a circle. Mm-hmm. It is very uncomfortable. Like, I've been very uncomfortable in some of these rooms learning about finances and trying to appear that I'm not learning and trying to appear that I'm actually knowing what I'm talking about or can be in the room and kind of move and shake. Or not much, I just might be quiet, but there's an expectation, if it is natural, that because a lot of times those conversations are natural to them. So they're not thinking of them as learning lessons all the time.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're not thinking like
moments.
Right. They're not always thinking of it that way. Like they literally just be like, yeah, you know, because we about to do something with the shed and we're going to do the thing and we're going to insure it. And then we insure it. Yeah, we just going and they be like, oh yeah, did you talk to such and such insurance person? Yeah, I did. We're like, yeah, I got a contact over it. Like that's literally, it's a full on fluid conversation that never is viewed as a teachable moment. Because it's just, you're expected to know. And I think sometimes it's hard for business owners or people, if you didn't have as much capital growing up or whatever, you get into those rooms where people like, you know, shucking and jiving, as my dad would say. But it's like talking and you like, what? Oh, ooh, you did that?
Yeah.
That is Sherelle Woodward and Sherelle Duncan. Because like, honestly, all of it is like for me is...
Hold that thought, Sherelle, because I want to get into all of that. But we got to take a break. You're listening to the Shelly Bell Show. I'm Shelly Omilade Bell here with my co-host,
Sherelle Duncan and Takia Ross.
We'll be right back, y'all. And we are back. You're listening to the Shelly Bell Show. I'm Shelly Omilade Bell here with my co-host,
Sherelle Duncan and Takia Ross.
To be totally honest and transparent, I was one of those people that was scared to have the conversation and that was not ready to have the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Up until 2020, when it was like, all right, Sherelle, you've been out here calling yourself an entrepreneur. You've been out here making your own money, but you don't really know what is happening with the money. Like you don't know where the money is going, how you're building your business credit. Do you even have business credit? Like, yeah, you felt fancy enough to go out and get an EIN number. I was smart enough to do that and get all of these things and all of these titles, but where's the money going? Do you even have a business bank account? Like, how is your personal bank account, first of all? So like for me, the fear was I can't even manage my personal bank account right now. So now I got to go and get a business bank account. How am I supposed to do that? And so those type of things were very scary. But now it's like once you get into it, and I've been telling people, I've been telling my staff, my team, everything. The thing about it is just getting into the room or starting that conversation so you can start the process step by step. I mean, we even had this conversation, like just starting it, just step by step, just starting it. It's a lot of fear in that though, because it's like, if you don't know, you feel like, what have I been doing this whole entire time with my business? Like, have I even made any money? Like,
I mean, I think part of it is affording yourself some grace and some mercy as you go through this journey, because in reality, nobody knows. Like nobody, like my journey is different from your journey, which is different from Omi's journey, you know? And so we have to afford ourselves some grace and some mercy. And not just about the journey, but about the mistakes that we made in the past. Yeah. A lot of times we are unwilling to look at our credit, unwilling to look at our bank accounts, unwilling to really take a hard look at our finances because we know we made some mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, we know, like, you know, I'm going to be honest, I done messed up a whole lot of money.
Yes.
You know, and people don't talk to you about that.
Yes.
People are not honest about the fact that they done messed up some money.
But wait. So yes, because there are people who are, but they have had the safety.
Yes.
So
yes.
the people who will talk to you about what they messed up, they had the safety to mess it up.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But that's not speaking to the people that don't like
have
that,
the
that
safety.
messed up in an unsafe environment.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Right.
my mess ups wasn't like, oh, you know, I messed up. I was able to file bankruptcy. You know, I got pulled some money from this area and I was able, no, my mess up was, honey, you eviction.
Yeah.
Honey, you are homeless.
Yeah.
Honey, your car is
Repossession.
gone. Like,
Yes.
that was my mess up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, where you're building from negative numbers, like not zero. You know, I'm building from negative 545, you know. So I think, you know, to get over that, I had to, one, afford myself the grace and the mercy to be like, I didn't know what I didn't know back then. I did not know.
right.
I didn't know how my financial, like taking all of those student loans and getting all those refund checks and all of that stuff. I didn't know how it was going to affect the 42-year-old Takia. I didn't, right? I know that now. However, I also had to have the courage to say and be like, all right, I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it.
Here I
and
go.
like, and I mean like double dutch in. And I didn't look at it all at once. I looked at it and then I was like, oh my God.
Peekaboo.
Like, woo. You know, you look at one, I'm gonna look at Experian.
Right.
Oh my God. You know, shut that down. Like, I'm not gonna keep looking at that. I said I'm gonna look at it. I didn't say I was gonna do something today. I looked at it. You know, and like really like every day, like, okay, I looked at it now. What is, but then we look at it and don't know what it means. And that's
right.
where I'm saying, what is the we don't know. Like, people like, well, you don't have to pay off this, but you should pay off that and don't pay off. And you looking like, well, who I'm supposed to pay?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of ebb and flow, and until you meet a business banker that just call you and be like, hey, girl.
Okay. Listen.
You need to pay off X, Y, and Z
Right.
in full. No payment arrangements, like the full amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a friend of mine or classmate of mine, he went to prison for stealing people's identities that had bad credit. Because guess what? People with bad credit are not looking at it, right? So he would steal the identities of people who have bad credit, build their credit up, and then spin their credit back down.
Oh my goodness.
And when they caught him, the federal government said, we have never seen anything like this. So he did his time, and when he got out, he wrote a book called The School of Credit.
I was just looking at that book.
It is. I have this book on my bookshelf, y'all. The School of Credit. It is like a big Bible. It tells you everything you want to know about the American credit system.
Oh my goodness.
Everything down to the wire that you want to know about the American credit system.
Sherelle, we got to get that book and
gotta
get some
get that book
highlighters and some
all the
color highlighters.
Pink,
Pink,
yellow, purple, green,
yeah.
all of them.
Underline. We got to
We're gonna have
underline.
a sleepover.
Post-it notes.
All types of
everything.
notes.
Go through it. Book
Oh
club.
my goodness.
Yes. And you know what? His name is Flame Newton. And everybody knows Flame, my auntie, Aggie Pride, by the way. But, you know, Flame was just crazy. You know what I mean? Like not crazy. He's not crazy. I don't want to say that.
Just wild.
wild energy. The highest energy person you will ever see. All the time. I can call him right now. He high energy wherever he at.
He ready.
You know what I'm saying? All the time. Sweetest heart, high energy. Right? And so I had him on the podcast, and you know, just to listen to him talk about it, he'll tell you straight up, like, people. He this is how he say he did it. He actually would like go to conferences where they was teaching people about credit, and then he started learning. He said he would go and volunteer at the conferences because the conferences would be a lot of money, like the trade conferences, not like, you know, just open to the public, people talking stuff, you know. He would go in there and learn about credit from these people who were speaking, because he would volunteer to go to work at the conferences. And then that's how he figured it out.
Black people are so smart.
I was like, this
so
is
smart and
crazy.
Crafty.
You know, but
Crafty.
this speaks to like Takia was saying, you don't look at your credit. So if your credit, not you personally, I'm saying,
I ain't look at it. I didn't look at it.
Listen, I got Experian Boost on my phone, so I'd be like checking it, like, okay, let me see what they. The good thing about Experian Boost is you can actually add things that you pay regularly. So you can add your Netflix. You can add like your
I heard you talking about that. I need to do that.
Because for whatever reason, I pay them on time.
It comes out automatically.
I don't play no games, honey.
Not
You
with
turn
your
that
Netflix.
Netflix on, it ain't on. You like, what happened? What's up?
What's going on?
I can make arrangements for the light bill.
know I
It's
paid
Netflix.
this.
I need
It better
it
be
now.
acting what it's got to do. What it's got to do. Okay. You hear that dun dun?
Oh, okay, we back.
Right.
We back. I paid it.
Not got an error.
Oh my God, there was an error retry. What?
Not an error retry.
That retry, that shit. When you see that button retry, you be like,
No,
oh God.
my kids called me first. That mommy, I tried. You didn't pay the bill. That's disrespectful when they tell you that.
Right.
Don't say that, y'all.
For
You
real.
didn't
So
pay the bill.
it's great because you can add those kinds of things, and then
That's a dope feature.
Positively affect your credit. But
Yeah.
people, like you said, when people have low credit and they have concluded that this is where I'm gonna be,
Yeah.
or that credit didn't really enter my life until I needed it. Because like even with the light bill, they'll run your credit, but you like they're not gonna not give me lights. Even with like some of the phone bills and the Verizon, they real stupid with theirs. Anybody got? Okay, good, because that. So, but Sprint.
Sprint is
Sprint
wild.
was handing out accounts at one point. Like,
Yes.
you get an account, you get an account, you get an account.
All the people.
Yeah, but you know what? That is a false sense of security.
Yeah.
So for people who are marginalized populations, for poor, for working class, that is a false sense of security.
Yes.
And so in your mind, your credit is all right.
And you fancy.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in your
'Cause
mind,
you got a phone.
because
Yeah.
I got a phone.
And that's what you needed.
Yup. I got my lights.
I passed my
on.
credit check.
Yup.
Right.
Yup.
Yeah.
That's what they said. I was good.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn, that's
But-
good to
and,
kill.
and
That
but
is
they
good.
don't realize that you're good enough to pay that $250 deposit.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
good enough to pay the $500 deposit.
Yeah.
Right.
You're good enough to, you know what I mean? Now you got to lease the phone. And your phone lease is $40 a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but that's a false sense, and we're being set up
Damn.
for that each and every time. Yes, you can go out and get a car, and your car note is going to be $577.47.
Yeah.
And yes, you can have car insurance. Your car insurance is going to be $1,000 for that. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like it's going to so yes, and that sets you up with this
Yes.
sense of security that I can do it. And yes, you can move into an apartment,
Yeah.
right? On what side of town?
Yeah.
But then here's the cycle, right?
that was good
So
to
like
kill.
now you do that, but now you living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Now you're in this area that's communicating that I can't afford,
Yeah.
right? And now everything financially is almost you just now that person, your profile.
Yeah.
Is that person.
Yeah.
But you don't even, but the sad part is because we don't have the background knowledge, we don't even know we're that person.
That's
Damn.
right.
We don't even know. And that's what
right.
I'm saying. You don't know what you don't know. And then that translates into your business because a lot of times, let's be honest. I didn't start my business because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I said it first and foremost, I needed to feed my kids.
That's right.
So this was my hustle turned into a full-time entrepreneurship endeavor. So I took those same habits, the same
Yes.
things that I learned in my life, and I brought it over to
The
business.
business. Damn.
And so now I'm bringing those same financial habits, the same way I spend money, the same way I don't save money, the same way I'm not looking into my credit. And yes, I'm checking all the boxes. You got an EIN? Yes. You got a
Yes.
business bank account? Yes. But I was only checking them when somebody told me that's what I needed to do. Like I couldn't do something until you can't get this bank account until you get an EIN. Okay, let me go ahead and get an EIN. Right. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it does for my business. I just know now
I need it.
I can get a business bank account. You need a business bank account so that you can get this money from this funder, right? Okay, so you do all of the steps. You don't know why you're doing it, how it affects your credit, what you need to do to build your credit both personally and in your business. Your business got its own credit situation going on. We don't know.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, like yesterday somebody said
That was crucial. She just broke that down. Like
all
that
the way.
shit. That shit
So it
got
can
my
forever
stomach.
be broke. She broke it down so it can ever be broke. Okay?
Brokenness.
Oh
Okay.
my
Says
God. That
only.
shit got me. I got chills. That was
Listen.
crucial. That was good.
It was so good.
It was really
With the
good.
business credit comment that you made yesterday, I didn't know this part. So, to get your business credit going, you should register with Duns and Bradstreet, right? Mm-hmm. And when this woman was saying, like, you can actually submit your paid invoices to Duns and Bradstreet, and that helps you build your business credit.
Oh, well, I need to submit these invoices.
I got all these invoices out here that's unsubmitted.
Let me
Just
see
put it
Atlantic.
on your
Let me-
phone.
I didn't know that.
Text it to me so we can do it together. We'll call each other later.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Because I was like, that is so like, because I always
Wow.
wonder, like, how does Duns and Bradstreet actually,
Right.
like, it's not like personal credit where like because you're like your business bank account is not necessarily attached to Duns and Bradstreet. So I was like, I wonder how they gather it. But I guess like I don't know who's reporting it. So this is the other thing to know about business credit. Who is actually reporting to Duns and Bradstreet
We don't
besides
know.
the government? I know the government does, but like. So when you get these invoices paid, like so you mean to tell me like you did my makeup and I paid you? You could have been submitting that to build your business credit. Like I didn't know that.
But you know what? But again, that just goes back to the same cycle that we end up being in over and over and over again. That means somebody's business, and I'll just say mine, has 8 years worth of paid invoices that could have been submitted to Duns and Bradstreet to build my business credit, right? That I have never submitted because I didn't know. And my business could have grown how much more? How much more?
Because I got 8 years too.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm
we
saying.
doing?
How much more?
That's right.
And that's the thing. Like these are conversations being had at affluent tables that are not being had at the tables of businesses that are starting. Tell me when I start what I need, like,
Yes.
and people will, some people can't handle it. And guess what? They will self-choose their way out.
Yeah.
That's right.
They will choose, like, you know what? I ain't doing this.
But you know what?
And then they're
Even
going to
for
come
the-
right back.
But
They
even
gonna
for
need
the
it.
startup checklist, I've never seen people tell you to go to Duns and Bradstreet.
Not at all.
Listen.
But it's so crazy. I have, so when I went back last year to just get everything in order, I went to Duns and Bradstreet because I was using one of my vendors. One of my vendors that I use for product was telling me that I can do the net 30, and I never knew what the net 30 days. So they actually report to them, to Duns or whatever. So when I went back, I was like, that sounds familiar, but I don't remember doing it. But I did it. But I didn't know. Like
That you did
said,
it. You didn't even know you did.
I didn't know why I was doing that. So I had a Duns and Bradstreet account, and I never even used it because somebody told me this is what you're supposed to do. And just like the conversation we were having earlier, they tell you that, but they don't give you the context of why you're doing this. So I did it, but not knowing why the hell I even done it, why the hell I even applied for it.
And then the funny thing is, because we've had this conversation, like, you know, when you look back, and this kind of takes it back to credit, and I giggle because when you take a moment and you look back and you realize sometimes that you're not as bad off as you thought you was.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you didn't even know you had your Duns and Bradstreet number.
I didn't even know I had it.
Right. But when you look back, you're like, oh, I did do that. So you are actually ahead, right? You're good. But that's the same thing with our credit. A lot of times, we not even that far off from where we need to be.
That's right.
You know, it's just that we're so afraid to look at it, right? And admit our failures, admit our shortcomings, and honestly get the people the money. Because I don't be wanting to get, I be mad at the people.
I'll be one. Let me tell you something. Patient first.
You can.
It's patient first.
This patient first got you all messed up.
Y'all know how I feel about it.
Yes, patient first.
Forget them, because I went in there and I gave them my insurance and they said I didn't have to pay nothing. Now you sending me your bill.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all?
What's wrong with y'all?
Now, granted, it wasn't that but like $400, but that's not the point.
Yeah. You said I didn't have
You
to
said
pay.
I did not have to do it, and now here you are with your stinking logo coming in my mail.
Not just.
I did not want.
Why is she mad at the logo though?
She mad at
did
everything that
I
has
see
something to
that
do
I
with
ride
it.
past Patient First, and I'm like, forget them.
You're so mad.
Nobody go there. Find another urgent care. I just don't. I just
Why would
did
you
not.
do that to patients? But you know what though? This is another thing. A lot of times we scared to open the mail.
Can I tell y'all? I was just about to talk about that.
Yeah, like you
My
don't
mail
know.
was going to my parents' house for years. My mother called me last year. I'll never forget this call. My parents have always been so on the fence about me working for myself, right? So last year, my mother called me and she said, I want to congratulate you for doing so well in your business. Not because she saw money, but because she didn't see mail coming to her house anymore. My parents would call me, y'all, every week. You have about 40 envelopes over here. You need to come and get your mail. And they were all collection, tickets, bills. I mean, just all of the things that you can think of. And so when I started to actually open my mail, I was like, okay, this says $237. I can do this. Sherelle, you can do this. I need to probably look at my credit score. So then I went deeper. So I pulled all the three of them. And then I'm like, okay, so now I need to learn about my FICO score. Now I need to do this. And that's what I was talking about as far as like processes, just taking it step by step. So my first step was opening my mail.
Yeah, opening the mail.
Takia, you are on 1,000 today.
Well, you know, credit is my
Today is Takia Day.
Oh,
Yes.
Let's make it Takia Day.
No. This is close to my heart, and y'all know why.
Yeah.
Like, y'all know why.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so, because I see so many of us struggle with this, and like we have these amazing businesses, and we want so much more for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's just like that one thing. Like we just can't quite get it together.
right,
You know.
And credit is that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Ain't going credit.
Yeah.
I know. Got to be more careful.
God.
Up next, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of credit. Mainly, we're going to talk about business credit. We got an article here on the Duns and Bradstreet website that tells you 5 mistakes to look out for. We're going to talk about it. Talk about where we may have made them, not made them, or how we feel about them. All right. You're listening to the Shelly Bell Show. I'm Shelly Omilade Bell here with my co-host,
Sherelle Duncan.
And Takia Ross.
We'll be right back. And we are back. You're listening to the Shelly Bell Show. I'm Shelly Omilade Bell here with my co-host,
Sherelle Duncan.
And Takia Ross.
All right, so we're gonna jump into this. We talked a little bit about personal credit. We're talking about business credit now. Duns and Bradstreet is one of the places that you have to register in order to start having your business credit be measured. All right, or having your business credit kind of collect itself, your credit history for your business. They have an article on their website that is dnb.com. And it talks about 5 business credit mistakes. All right. So we're going to jump into it and we're going to give our opinions on it and have just a little conversation about business credit because it's one of those mysterious kinds of things. I also want to jump into some things that some stats from Experian as well. So, yeah, let's get into it. All right. Y'all ready?
Yes, please.
Yep.
Okay. Number 5, I'm gonna go 5 to 1. Number 5, failing to update business information.
Yeah, I do that. I've done that.
So
I mean, you don't think you don't think about it. You're so busy thinking about the big things that's such a small thing, but it's a big thing in this world, like of business credit, updating your information, and we just don't think about it. I don't think.
I mean,
And in the state of Maryland, I think too, guys, like here, it costs you money to change your business address
Yeah.
and stuff. So sometimes you don't do it because you don't have the money. You know, you think that it's all combined. And so you don't have the money to pay to update it. And so then you have 11 wrong addresses on file. I'm raising my hand raised. I'm talking about me. And you don't get your mail. Don't nobody know nothing.
But you know what? Do you so with Maryland, because I know in Virginia we have to renew every year. Maryland you have to renew every year. When you renew, can you update your address then and it doesn't cost you extra?
No.
What? And when you renew in Maryland, you have to pay extra to still, even if you
There are always fees. The fees are the fees, period.
Oh no. Oh hell no. That's why that's why I like being in Virginia with mine, okay? Because everything is online. I can start an LLC right now for $100. And every year you pay $100. And that's it. And if you want to update when you renew, you just renew with your $100. Update your address.
Thunder, our fee is like $400, right?
It's $300. $300 to file your personal property taxes.
Yeah.
For the state of Maryland
every year.
Every year.
Yeah. $300. Yep. Every year.
No.
And that's not including your taxes. That's just the file.
That's just to file them.
What?
But can I tell y'all, I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm gonna be very transparent. I thought that when I paid, and this is why I know we're going to get into this when we talk about the IRS tripping, but I thought when I was paying that $300, that was me doing my taxes, y'all. God help.
No, but
God help.
A lot of people think that though, Sherelle. A lot of people think that. And the conversation needs to be had about educating small business owners prior to them going in and becoming an LLC, a sole, whatever they're filing themselves as. The education needs to be readily available to them, and even with the Duns and Bradstreet information that we're reading off right now, sometimes this stuff is just not readily available. And so you don't even know what you're doing. You're following down the chain. You only got your LLC so you can get a business bank account.
Right.
Exactly why. That's exactly why. That was my exact thinking 8 years ago.
Yeah, and you know what? Legally though, right? Like you could decide to not get an LLC, and you could, do some levels of business as a sole proprietor without having to go and file anything per se, right? And this is not legal advice. I want to put that disclaimer out there, but because you could. When you're a single member LLC, it's considered a pass-through entity anyway, which means that all the tax liability falls on you, but other liabilities don't fall on you, right? And so I think that's the reason why we set up LLCs. But when it comes to Duns and Bradstreet and my business credit in that sense, unless I was doing business with the government, I never knew anybody to go and try to pull a report. So I don't know that I valued it as much. You need to keep it up to date. And it takes forever to process.
It really takes forever. All of this shit takes forever. Seriously. We can't even flourish out here without waiting. We got to wait on every fucking...
We got to wait to flourish. We can't be flourishing.
After we pay all our dues and fees and shit, we still waiting, Jesus. Please, God. We just trying to be great out here. That's all we trying to do. We work too damn hard to be waiting 3, 4 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, still processing. What is happening?
I just think it costs too much money. I done paid too much damn money. Now, listen now. That's what listen now. I done paid my money. Give me my stuff.
And DC, honestly, DC is bad about it too. Having a business in DC, you be paying so much money. And I honestly had to pour out. I hope, look, all the people out there, I love y'all in the business development world in DC. But I had to port my business back to Virginia because I used to have a CBE and everything. And don't get me wrong, the CBE process in DC, and CBE is a certified business enterprise. And with that, you're able to get certain contracts and work with certain agencies because they all have a mandate to spend a certain amount of their budget with CBEs. And that is a really great benefit. I will say that. And honestly, until I got my CBE, that was the first time I ever had to walk through all the pieces of kind of like looking at like, did I have everything connected? And the CBE process was actually really, really good. Like it walks you through every single piece. Now you need to go to this office and get these things from this office. Now you need to go to this office. It was a bunch of offices, but it did at least walk me through it in a way that no other business, development thing had. Like I hadn't had that. Like you said, Takia, I'm like, oh, I need to get a business. Oh, I need to be protected because if somebody try to sue me, I don't want them to come from my personal bank account. So boom, get an LLC. And then after you get an LLC, get an EIN. Get an EIN, go get a bank account. Now they can't mess with your money. That's what I knew about LLCs, right? But DC, the fees that they charge you, it really is ridiculous. Yeah.
You know what bothers me about this whole thing? What bothers me, what did bother me, and it still kind of bothers me, is that they don't teach you the difference between like your personal credit and then your business credit. They tell you that they need your social security number because you are the person and you're the person that they're going to go to if something happens, but they don't tell you, you still have to build your business credit in order for you to even get the things that you need to fund your business, like a credit card or anything. They don't that's what I was so confused because I was so busy working on my personal credit. Like, oh, if I get in the 700s, now I can get a business loan or a business credit card or whatever I need for my business. And then I got in the 700s and they're like, you don't have any business credit. And it's like, well, y'all told me that I needed to get in the 700s and now I'm in the 700s and now you're telling me that I have no business credit. I've been paying all this money for nothing. I can't even get a lollipop with my business credit now. I've been breaking my damn neck. In Thunder's words, I'll talk to you about.
You got to talk to him about it later. You can't talk to them about it right now. When you hot like this, you can't talk to them about that. But I think Omi, what you said is key. Is having the steps laid out and really being able to walk business owners through this process from beginning to end. Like, yes, we can absolutely go online and start a LLC, a S Corp, a C Corp. You can get all of the corps, online. However, you don't know what you just got. You don't know what you just signed yourself up for. You don't know, and I think, and I think that a lot of the information, even if it is on a website, is hidden.
Yeah.
You got to go through 87 layers of clicks before you can get to a document that says this means this, and I think that is, I'm grateful that we're going through this list with DUNS because a lot of people don't understand this at all. I know,
but the thing about like searching online is if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't even know what to search for. That's right. Because it's only according to what you know to search. You can only find online what you know to search for. And if you don't know to search for something, then you don't know. Yes. One of the things on this list of 5 is paying bills with your personal checks or credit cards versus, building business credit. And so it talks about like keeping your business finance and your personal finances separate. So luckily, my mom is an accountant and she was doing my taxes and she was a stickler for do not spend this money this way. Like if you need to move the money, move it, but don't spend personal things out of this account. Later, what I learned is that there's this notion called piercing the corporate veil. All right. And if you spend money out of your personal account on business, then you are actually communicating that you don't need the LLC protection. So the LLC, the limited liability company or corporation, is set in place to protect you, to put a wall between your personal finance and your business finances so that if somebody sues you, they can sue the business, but they can't actually come after your personal finances. But if you are not careful about the way you spend, you could be spending out of your personal, and then they can make the justification that, oh, well, since they're doing business transactions out of their personal account, then this is actually a part of the business. And then they can also come for your personal money and assets.
I'm so glad I learned that. I learned that part. And that was very key because I was just spending money. I made it, I spent it. I made it, I spent it. But I was spending it not like, oh, let me go on this trip or, oh, let me get a bag or anything. It was more so like I was spending it to pay like Pepco, and I was spending it to pay like T-Mobile, you know what I mean? Like paying my personal bills, because in my mind, I'm like, I made this money. This money is my money. I can spend this money right now. As soon as I do a release, I'm about to spend this money because I have all these bills. But I quickly learned that I have got to separate my money. It is so key to growing and scaling my business that I separate the money.
I think a lot of times you don't learn it until you get in trouble.
That's true.
You know, until something happens and you have to prove something.
Yeah.
Or, you gotta, print out your bank statements and you realize you was at Burger King, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's. You know what I mean?
and
on your
let me
business account.
listen, and don't be out there talking about there was a business meeting for $5.
Yes.
$5.36.
Yes, it was. We only
All
ordered
she wanted was some French fries.
Okay. She only wanted the dollar menu.
Right.
Thank you.
You got that number one? That number one was only $5. No.
Free Wi-Fi. It's free Wi-Fi at the McDonald's.
Boom. There you go, Thunder.
Okay.
There you go.
I had to get our coffee. We went for coffee.
Look, find the reasons, Thunder. Find all of the reasons.
Yes. Whatever you can do, Jesus.
I love that because you know
God,
what?
please.
Here's the thing about the lotto, and this is why what you're saying is so interesting, is because so a lot of times we'll say like, oh, like, white men or white people, they don't have to deal with this. That's not true. They do have to deal with it, but they have a army of people that can deal with it on their behalf.
Yeah.
So because if you can justify it deep enough, if you can argue it in court, then technically you could do it. The thing is, like, we as small business owners, or some small business owners out there, don't have a person that can defend you in court or go and say, nah, auditor or IRS when you tripping. Hey, listen, this is a coffee date. What you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, not that they'll go that deep, but I'm just saying that they have people in place that can actually combat it for them. It's not that they don't deal with it. The IRS comes for everybody. You got people that done killed thousands of people, and guess who they got caught by? The IRS.
Yeah, I don't mess with Irvin, Richard, and Samuel. I don't mess with them.
No, they do not. They are not playing. Okay. All right. So here's. I'm sorry.
Irvin, Richard, and Samuel. Irvin with an I.
Irvin with an I. Okay, another one. Using trade credit from vendors that don't report. You know what? I honestly, on a personal note, I think I've gotten caught up with this with some, like in my past, like check cashing places or like places that like I went and got some type of interim money, and they don't report. But I'm paying them off every month, but they don't report. So it wasn't making my credit better. My personal
and your interest rate is 787%.
Oh my God.
that goes, isn't that in line with the working capital loans that people are getting now from a lot of the processors?
Oh,
a lot of the working capital loans, they are also not reporting. They don't check your credit because they're using your revenue as the driving force behind lending to you. However, and that is really great. However, they are also not reporting that, you've been making these payments. So if you think about it and you've gotten $10,000 worth of working capital from these amazing processors, and then you paid all of that money back, you have no record of that. That does not have any, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't affect you being able to go into a bank and asking for a loan because you still have no track record.
Oof.
Yo, no, for real, seriously. Thunder hit this on the head. That's what I did. I applied for a working capital loan, right? And I'm thinking, like, not having the knowledge, just not, and also not reading, just going off of, oh, this is that I can get a loan. That means that I'm building my business credit yet again. Like, I have been through so many wrong obstacles thinking that I was building business credit. And all the while, all I was doing was just the working capital. That's all. It wasn't about my credit at all. And the reason I applied was because I thought that I was going to build. This makes me want to cry.
No. I mean,
I want to hug myself. I want to hug myself.
And you should, because at the end of the day, this is another opportunity for financial institutions to really take a hard look at where small businesses are accessing capital, right, for their businesses, and how they can provide some sort of support in this arena. I know there are a number of financial institutions that are doing it. However, if we do not tell owners that this is not reflecting on their, on their credit, like they're not getting the pluses, like you did it, great job, they will never know, but they need the money. Like, let's be real, you need the money. Like, that's why you're going after it. So, you just, as long as you go into it understanding that this is not going to be a tool that you can use to build your credit at this time, maybe they'll change it soon.
Yeah, I wish I would have known it back then, because I just, oh God. But everything is a lesson. And so to everybody out there, these working capital loans are not going to help you build your business credit. Take it from me. You just be paying money back.
But you might need that working capital loan, and it is built off of. So I would say to the credit processors of the world, or to the working loan people of the world, find a way for us that when we're paying you back with our revenue and we're paying it back like we supposed to, even if you don't do it the first time, that second time we need that working capital loan, find a way that you can connect to Experian, or that you can connect to Dun & Bradstreet, or these reporting places where we can actually get that validation for what we're doing. Because one of the other mistakes on here is applying for business credit cards that are actually personal credit cards. And it speaks to what you were talking about earlier, Sherelle. It talks about, like, most businesses lack credit history. So the card issuers take your personal credit into consideration. But it's the same thing with some of the bank loans. It's like they're taking your credit into consideration when evaluating what the business can do. And that just isn't fair. One of the rules on credit cards, too, that kind of separate but inside of this, that one of my friends flamed, I mentioned him on one of the previous episodes. He talked about, he's the author of the School of Credit. He talked about, like, looking at the back of the credit card and making sure that the bank on the back of the card and on the front of the card match. Because you might get a card on the back, it say, Bank of blah, 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 Hawaii. On the front of the card is like, some other name. Or like the bank you're getting it from, making sure that it matches up, the names match up. So that's why you got to be careful with some of these card offers you get in the mail, because these banks be anywhere.
You got me looking for my wallet right now. I started patting my hips. I'm like, wait, where's my fanny pack, Jesus? I got to flip these cards over, God. What are you saying? So now I done got a card that says, Umpty Scump Bank, but it says the knee. What are you saying to me? Knee deep in debt bank. See, that's what I'm saying.
Sometimes these credit cards and the issuers and the issuing banks, they're working as partnerships, right? And so this is where, like, some of those extra fees come in. This is where, some of those pieces that may not be the best for you in terms of how you're building. So, like, I have a Bank of America card issued from Bank of America. You have a Capital One card, make sure it's issued from Capital One. when you have it, you want to, because then you could be building your reputation across the board. I mean, it gets a little tricky. You got to do a lot of reading and deep diving. What's the kid looking at me like that?
Because I don't have my wallet in front of me, so I can't pull out these cards. And I feel like that I'm gonna look on the back, and it's like, this is issued from the bank of the river First Trust and the trees leaves that fall off. Like, that's how I feel. Like, it's not gonna be. It's making my nerves bad.
I knew you was about to say your nerves is bad. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for
my nerves. My nervous system can't take this. Okay, go ahead, own me. All this knowledge you giving out to people.
Look, you said last night, you making me tired. I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah. I'm going to go to bed after this. I'm going to close my eyes. You ain't got to worry about it. Put on my bedtime movie, because now I got to have dreams about credit cards and riverbanks. I'm going to talk to you. Okay.
One of the tips that it gives is that while a business credit card can provide access to capital, but may not be an effective tool for building business credit, which is interesting because a business credit card may not be an effective tool for building business credit because they're running your personal credit for you to get the business card. That I think is interesting. That's interesting. I mean, with Bank of America, we applied for it, and the thing is, it may be more like a line of credit. So I think that's something that we don't hear about often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't talk about lines of credit often. You hear credit card more than you hear line of credit. It wasn't until I entered into a whole nother realm of like being around people who were taking lines of credit at the bank. Like, you can get a business line of credit at your bank. You have some experience with that.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was, but also that came with understanding that I needed to speak to a business banker and not the teller. Like, I didn't have, people was asking like, who's your banker? And I'm just like, bank. Like, I would tell them the name of the bank and they'd be like, well, who's your banker? And I'm just like, I would say the name of the bank. Like, that's where I'm banking. And they were like, no, the person you talk to. And I'm just like, I don't talk to anybody but Cindy behind the glass. You know what I mean? I go in, I say, hey, Cindy girl. And I make my deposit, and I might pull out a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying? I do that. But it wasn't until I had a relationship with a business banker who really took a look at my financials, and really worked hard, because I'm not gonna lie, my business banker she was working. Y'all, she was working. Y'all was with me, to make sure that I was able to access the capital that I need. But she's also there to make sure that I'm staying up on what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Like, it's not it doesn't end. The relationship doesn't end. Like, she's calling like, hey, did you see this? Are you making sure you're doing this? Did you pay this? And you like, girl, you on my team for real. You my good girlfriend. You're my good girlfriend, but that's why you need your bail team.
Mm-hmm. Tell them what bail means.
Your bail team is your banker, your accountant, your insurance agent, and your lawyer. So those are the 4 people that you should have on your team as a small business owner. And a lot of times we don't have them. I know I didn't have a banker listen, I ain't had none of them. If I'd have got arrested, I was going down. You see what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody bailing me out, but eventually I worked up to it. I was going down.
Banker relationship is so important. I mean, shout out to M&T for some of the work that they're doing that is a little bit different from some other banks where they're allowing their local bankers, to have a little bit more agency over how they work with their communities. And I think that's amazing.
I love my M&T. You see, I'm looking, yes.
I mean, I bank at Bank of America, Bank of America pride. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? Talk to you about
our banker, so ultimately though, on a serious note, build a banker relationship, and like the work that Takia and her banker did, amazing. I think The banker that we work with, what she taught me was, use your line of credit or your credit card to buy everything. Do not use your bank card. And so we shifted everything to have our business credit card be the credit card listed online or that we pay for things with. And I actually went through and like swept my like bank card, my like actual bank card away from, I had to go through so many accounts to do that. Y'all know how many things we got our bank card attached to? Oh my God. But what she was saying is that there's so much liability because if somebody were to hack my bank card, they got all my money. But if they hack your credit card, they don't. Right. I mean, there's a little bit more defense there. And so I was like, oh, okay, got it. So I switched all those out and now we mainly use a credit card. Or another rule of thumb, like if you don't have a credit card, is I do use PayPal to process some of the transactions. And then PayPal will be connected to my business bank account. So like places where they let you pay with PayPal, use that PayPal as that intermediary so that you're not having people actually access your bank account. And you could do that with, transactions or things you're doing. Even with some of the vendors we pay that are overseas, I'm like, we'll pay you through PayPal because I know that that's a third party transactor there that will give me some security over my bank account versus me actually giving them my credit card. Sometimes you can't get around it, but sometimes you can.
But I think
that's really good information.
You're right, Cheryl. And one of the things I do want to say, before we get to the last Duns and Bradstreet, is that y'all please look at your stuff. Like really look at it. Like open up your bank account. You know what I mean? Like really look at them every day and reconcile. Like reconcile your statements. Because you'd be amazed at the stuff that is just sliding under the radar. Like just stuff, that $5.99 that's been coming out of your account for 15 years for something that you've never used before. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So it's like really take a moment to reconcile your accounts. And I know it's hard sometimes, but really just, and it's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot of accounts, but please just make sure you're looking at it. And if you have transactions and you're using PayPal and other processors, make sure you're looking at that as well and be mindful of the fees that come along with you using PayPal. Just any processor has their extra set of fees, and your bank may have fees as well for you using, especially when you're doing out of overseas transactions. So I really wanted to make sure that we said that because a lot of times, you get hit with these fees and charges and it's because we're not looking.
That's so good. Both of y'all made really great, gave really great points. Omi, I really like that though. I really like that tip. Using the business credit card and not the debit card. Real quick, one of my homegirls got scammed from, I'm not going to mention the vendor's name because I know everybody has probably purchased from them, but got scammed from them. And she used her debit card and it took forever to dispute it, like forever. And it was thousands of dollars. Like it was so crazy. And it held up her money to do other stuff. So that was really good. I hope that helps a lot of people moving forward. Oh
my goodness. These scammers be tripping.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
The last big mistake is selecting the wrong business structure. All right. Well, you talked a little bit about that. Like you don't need to file any paperwork for a sole proprietorship. And the business earnings and losses are reported on your personal taxes. And then if you're a single member LLC, you also, it's called a pass-through entity. And you also report the earnings and losses on your personal taxes. But again, I think seek out some advice from a certified paid accountant, a CPA. Is it certified paid? Is that right?
Public. Certified public.
I said it and I was like, that ain't right.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that because they do is about being paid. You see what I'm saying?
Listen,
so you gotta
they charge a lot. So mine is certified paid. Okay.
Certified paid accountant. You pay them.
Now she keep me right, but I'm just saying she's certified and paid.
Yeah, I like it. I like the way you think.
Certified public accountant, a CPA. You know, make sure that you consult with someone about anything you heard us say today. For real, these are our just real experiences. But a CPA actually put me in a different place when it came to taxes and accounting. Even having a general accountant was great for like reconciling and like looking at your budget and things like that. But the CPA really helped me understand like, oh, this is what this means. You know, here's where you can put this. Here's how to think about what the IRS is thinking about.
Urban, Richard, and Samuel.
I don't like none of them.
How did y'all think about like the business, developing your business structures? Like, was it just like, I need to have it.
Still developing it. It's still developing. Every day it changes.
It's in development.
It's in development. Like Thunder say, I'm still arriving.
I ain't made it yet.
I change stuff so often. I change it because it's like, all right, this didn't work. Let's switch this up. Let's work on this. And I think it gets better as I change it, like going through trial and error with it. And it gets so finicky. I say this a lot with fitness. You have to stay innovative to keep the people like interested and keep them to making them want to stay. Like, I don't want to say making them want to stay, but you just have to be innovative and creative. Think of different ways to keep people motivated. Let's say that, just keep them motivated. And so it's like always working. You can't stay the same. Like the good thick cannot stay the same. It has to forever change and forever evolve, but still keep the same message. But the things that we do changes.
Like when I think about our business structure, I'm a LLC, but I did it. I did it because I was pitching. I was pitching in pitch competitions, and a lot of the requirements for the pitch competitions was that the money be deposited into a business bank account. So the business, I had to have my business, the checks would come with my business name on it. And so that meant that I needed to have an account with my business name on it. And so but like Sherelle was saying, as your business evolves, like we have to think about when you hire new team members, like Sherelle has new team members that, do you need to become an S corp? Like, because now you have employees, right? So I know that was where I was.
This has been a great show. It's not always easy talking about business, talking about credit, talking about personal credit. And so, because you know why? Because credit be tripping. All right. I am Shelly Bell with my co-host,
Sherelle Duncan
and Takia Ross.
This is Sirius XM Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. We will see you next week on the Shelly Bell Show right here at noon every Sunday. You can follow us at the Shelly Bell Show on Instagram. Also join us at the Shelly Bell Show right after this at 1 p.m. so you can see the after party, because after the show it's the after party. Then hey, she never knows. She never knows the word.
This fiesta
again. This is show. This is Shelly Bell Show. I'm Shelly Bell with my co-host
Sherelle Duncan
and Takia Ross.
We'll see you next week.
They talking business. They talking business. It's raw and real. Come on and get there. A beautiful day in the Lottie Hood. Beautiful day in the Lottie Hood.